So because Walking Wake is new and people might not understand to throw a choice specs on it, I figured I'd make a little guide on how to use it in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. If you do enjoy this, make sure you let me know, leave a like, and subscribe. So first set, incredible on both Sun and of course Rain. The main reason it's good on Sun is because the signature move Hydro Steam is actually boosted in Sun. It's 80 base power, but it goes up 50% instead of being halved, which is really nice. That's similar to how it works in Rain, or exactly how it works in Rain. So Hydro Steam becomes 120 base power in the Sun, which is why Torkoal is an excellent partner for this thing. And for the most part, you're just going to be spamming the Hydro Steam. You have choice specs, so you have the strongest damage output you could have. I think Timid Nature is just absolutely best for this thing. You're faster than Garchomp and below, and also you speed tie with opposing Walking Wake, which is very, very popular at the moment. Draco Meteor is your next move, and that's also your means of dealing with opposing Walking Wake. And because this one is on Sun, Flamethrower is great to nab a Corviknight or something like Golden Goat. Not that they're going to be taking 2 Hydro Steams anyway, but it's just a nice secondary one. And if Ferrothorn eventually comes back, obviously that'd be great for it too. And your last move is Dragon Pulse, just a more consistent Dragon move. I think that you could also use Hydro Pump here depending on what you're using or what you're playing on, like whether if you're using Rain or Sun, but this one's specifically for Sun, just max special attack, max speed. You can run the Spadef or defense, it doesn't really matter I think at that point. And then Tera Water I think is insane on Sun on choice specs, just because something like Azu might be able to take 1 Hydro Steam, but it cannot take 2 if you Tera Water. It's actually crazy how strong it gets. So I will say that you can also use Tera Blast, and Tera Blast Fairy is really interesting on a choice spec set because it allows you to deal with Dragapult and opposing Walking Wake that are trying to Draco Meteor you. Fairy is just a good stab in general. If you actually look at the OU tier and everything, you have Breloom, which is weak to it, right? It's super effective versus Dragapult, Dragonite, Garchomp. It's just good neutral versus the majority of the tier, great Tusk, etc. And just being able to shed that Dragon weakness can go a long way. Roaring Moon can't really revenge kill you with a Banded Crunch or Outrage. So becoming Tera Fairy allows you to just have those immunities and just have a strong secondary stat. For the most part, this is only going to be used defensively. You're never going to use it to, I think, start off the battle and do just this because you don't want opposing Walking Wake clicking water moves versus you, right? To have that strong water move versus you. You have decent bulk, but you're no Suicune. So you do not want to take opposing Hydro Steam. You're going to use this defensively in an offensive manner, but defensively to take on Roaring Moon and opposing Walking Wake. And of course, Tera Electric is also an option as well. This allows you to really just deal with azumarill and just smash it with the choice specs and everything. I've seen Life Orb sets run this as well, but with the choice specs, you absolutely smash azumarill, Corviknight in the same move. It's mainly just for that. I think that if Tapu Fini came back as well, this and Terastallization was still allowed, this is something it'd be running too. But because there's no Tapu Fini, there's just azumarill, and azumarill is the only water fairy, and it's not like it's the greatest answer. It's just something that can really allow you to nail that. People have been trying different things to deal with this Pokemon. Tera Fairy, Water Absorb Clodsire is probably the strongest thing that people have, but that mon is only special defensive and gets worn down by half the metagame or just O-code by Great Tusk. So there's just a lot of different things that people are trying right now and that they're not necessarily working, or this Pokemon has been out for a day, so people are still trying to figure out how it works. I will say that it is extremely strong. All of these are for basically Sun. Like, it's extremely strong in Sun. Outside of weather, it's not as good in my opinion, but it's still really good because everybody else is running Sun and Rain to try and test it out. So using it as an anti-measure for that, just having it on your team and being able to really take advantage of that Sun can be really good. But all this is for Sun specifically. And I will say also, if you're on Rain, the only option that I would do differently, if you don't want to use Hydro Steam, or if you want to use Hydro Steam as well, Hydro Pump is good too. Hydro Steam is good. It's good in Rain, right? It's because it's 120 base power, same thing as Sun, right? It does get boosted in Rain just like it does in Sun. It's a water move, it still get boosted. And with Tera Water, it's even stronger. But the other option right there is Hurricane. Hurricane is just a good, decent neutral to use. Flying Stab is usually a very good move in general. Just hit your opponent with. It's just strong. It's very strong, and maybe your opponent has the combination of azumarill plus Walking Wake last, and you don't want to click Hydro Steam because you won't kill Azu, and obviously you won't kill that, and you can't knock out Walking Wake with Draco because then you lose the Azu. So Hurricane is just a decent option as well. And of course, what I think is really, really strong on both Sun and Rain is you run the same set, but you change your EVs that way, because photosynthesis in the Sun, you get 1.5 speed, typically because it's faster than it is with the timid nature. It's faster than it is. Excuse me. It's not faster than it is stronger. It's faster than it is stronger. If you run this EV spread, that way it gets the boost energy and speed, so it becomes even harder to deal with because you have the speed boost in Sun. However, typically, Photosynthesis will give you the 1.3 times special attack boost because it's stronger than it is faster. Sorry, I was mixing up my words there a little bit. But with this, by running 244 special attack and then even 12 special defense or 12 defense, depending on how you want to go with it, you get a speed boost instead of a special attack boost, which while you're slightly weaker, you are faster, and it's a lot harder for common Scarfers to knock you out, especially, I mean, in the Sun, right? That's the big thing, in the Sun. So Dragon Pulse is a little bit better, I think, on this because you're able to spam it. You're faster than most, so it's a good just cleanup move, right? Just like Hydro Steam is a good move in general. But this is another set you could run. My boy Storm Zone's been messing around with this. I will say that the drawback of this is that if you're not using it on weather, and though it's good versus anti-weather, if you're not using it, it is weak because your moves are 80 base power, right? You got Hydro Steam at 80, you got 85 at Dragon Pulse. So they're not necessarily the strongest moves, right? They're not Hydro Steam in the Sun or Rain, and they're not Draco Meteor. But Substitute's pretty cool because it does force a lot of switches, and some of them can be things like Hatterene on Draco. You sub, you Tera Water, you hit them with a Hydro Steam, you smash them, easy to a KO, leftovers for longevity. Roar is cool too because if you do have spikes on the team, it can allow you to really just rack up that damage versus common switches like Azu and Clodsire, and you can phase them out with Roar. Draco Meteor can work here. Tera Water is just so you have the stronger Hydro Steam versus something like Hatterene, but Tera Fairy can just as easily work, allowing you to be immune to like Dragon Pulse, Infiltrator, Dragon Darts, and Draco Meteor, and also KO them back. And same thing with the the whole Roaring Moon interaction that I mentioned before. And of course, Agility is an interesting option too. A lot of people are running Specs and Booster Energy, which I'll talk about in a sec as well. So Agility is an interesting option to raise your speed. It does learn Dragon Dance too, but it's not the greatest on the physical side. If you want to try a Heat Dragon Dance set, go for it. You're not going to have as much of a great time using that. And I'm being called 1 second. You're not going to have as great of a time using that as you would Specs, in my opinion, but it's still plausible. However, Agility allows you to double your speed and then basically be faster than the entire metagame. Hydro Steam, Dragon Pulse, Flamethrower. This is good on Sun, of course, with Torkoal, with the Heat Rock, so you have multiple Sun turns. And then, lastly, alternative options to Specs is, of course, Booster Energy is pretty cool for the limited setup. So you have that before until you switch. Of course, Life Orb can work too on all sets as well. And then Heavy Duty Boots is also an option. I think Heavy Duty Boots is best used if you're using it with Tera Fairy, because that way you still have your strong Hydro Steam on Sun or Rain, and then when opposing Walking Wake come in, first off, you don't take hazard damage, so you're not worn down by hazard, something that this Pokemon is consistently done, or worn down by. But also, you have the ability to Tera Fairy defensively in front of something like Roaring Moon or anything. You can switch up moves, knock it out with Tera Blast. It just allows you to switch up moves without being locked. You just lose out on that strength, but it does have the longevity. I would compare it to like how Ace runs Boots, or how even like Tapu Koko, it would run Boots, not because it boosted in power, but allowed it to come in on spikes multiple times, even though it came in on knockoff in the previous generation. But that's basically all I have for Roaring Moon. Well, not Roaring Moon. Walking Wake, I love this Pokemon. Suicune's my favorite Pokemon. Water Dragon's my favorite types. They're my two favorite types, like in one. So it's cool to see my favorite Pokemon have my favorite types. But I have a showdown live later today, and that's basically all I have for y'all. So thank you for watching. And that's it. Peace.